Good afternoon. I'm going to do you a little video on self-esteem. And if you've watched a few of these videos by now, you probably know I love a good cliche. So here's the reason why I'm doing self-esteem, because I found this absolute pinnacle of an arch. Stunning, stunning arch. It's probably not clear on the video just how high up it is. Because I have favored shade as my location, but I don't know, maybe that gives you an idea. It's very impressive anyway. And yeah, it made me think about people reaching the pinnacle of their capabilities, of their self-integration, shall we say. I think it's Nathaniel Branden that has a book about the pillars of self-esteem. Comes up with a few tools how to reach a position of self-esteem. My perspective is that when someone is coming because they are lacking in self-esteem, when they are lacking in self-confidence, it is often, let's not say always, but often due to a clear thought or a inner thought that something about them isn't good enough, isn't acceptable, is faulty, maybe even is shameful, maybe even deserves to suffer. There is an element inside of them, typically, that is being denied. And so one way to come up with what it is which is being denied is to ask yourself a whole series of questions. Here's a good one. If you really knew me, you'd know that. And answer that question. And then say, if you really knew me, you'd also know that. And answer it again and do it 2 or 3 times. If you really knew my true feelings, if you really knew my true thoughts, then. Something like that. Because if there is an element of yourself that you consider to be unacceptable, deserving of shame especially, then you're going to do everything in your powers to hide that from the world. And if you hide it from the world, it's pretty hard to have self-esteem. Okay? The other way that you can have a look at this is do I believe that everybody in the world to some extent is unique? Okay? They come with their own operating book, their own drives, their own thoughts, their own hopes and fears, their own circumstances, their own experiences. They're unique. Do I believe that? Am I able to accept that? And if so, am I able to accept that therefore I am unique? Which is an egotistical thing to be doing. And a lot of what I'm talking about is actually relinquishing the ego. It's releasing the ego. But I think it's This is more to do with having a sense of self. So yeah, do I believe I am unique? Another one which can be very useful is, and you can ask this all about other people first and then have a look at if you therefore can believe it about yourself. I believe that everybody in the world has the right to their own experience. They have the right to own their own emotions. They should be free to simply be themselves. And if you can agree that for everybody else, can you believe it for yourself? I believe that I have the ability and the right, and I deserve to experience the whole range of my emotions, to experience the whole range of myself. Seems okay? Not hurting anybody by saying that. Find a part of you that you don't like, that you're disappointed with, that you wish wasn't there, maybe. If it's possible, and it might be easier if you write it down, see if there's any way, shape, or form to be able to turn that into a positive. And I'll give you an example here from something that I came up with that I didn't like about myself, and I was asked if I could twist that, flip that, find a way of turning it into something beautiful, and I couldn't do it. But other people did it. So what I came up with, and it was not a massive thing, but what I came up with was that I dislike when I don't express myself fully, when I limit myself, when I chain myself inside some kind of bubble in order to either protect myself or to protect other people, to look after the sympathies of other people. And you know, I couldn't find a way to turn that into something positive. I just simply couldn't. And it was the people around me, because I was brave enough at least to express this. It was the people around me who came up with, what did they come up with? I am beautiful when I am being myself. And maybe because it came from them, I was like, yeah, all right, that sounds okay. I am beautiful when I'm just being myself. Because indeed, that is the flip side of, I'm not too happy when I'm limiting myself. But personally, I couldn't see it. I had to ask somebody to come up with that. And what was the idea beneath that? It was basically, well, in order to either keep the recipient feeling safe, or in order that I feel safe, I'm going to limit my expression of my experience. In the idea that somehow or other that was good for me. But at the same time, I'm telling myself that in so doing, I am denying myself my reality. I'm denying that other person the joy of a true connection with me, because I'm dancing around the subject, It's a very British thing. I've had years of experience. So So if you can find something that you dislike about yourself, perhaps you can find a way, or perhaps you can ask somebody else to give you the positive flip side of it, the beneficial flip side of it, and maybe there's a way for you to then lean into that. But effectively, what we're talking about here is a very similar story to the one for fixing guilt and shame. Okay? Effectively, there is an element of me that I distrust, dislike, or am embarrassed about, or feel guilty about, or feel shame about, and therefore I'm going to limit myself. But that makes me feel bad as well. And so it's a self-reinforcing kind of drill to the bottom on the self-esteem rungs. And the way out of it, pretty simple, really. It's owning your full experience. It's naming your full experience. It's accepting yourself for what you are. It's accepting that you're going to have strengths and weaknesses, that everybody has strengths and weaknesses, that you, because of your experience, because of your life story, there are going to be elements of you that are vulnerable. That is just like that. And owning that permits you the broader expanse of your emotional experience, your intellectual experience. It gives you the self-permission to push the boundaries, to go beyond your comfort zone, to go beyond the story of yourself. And when you experience that pushing beyond a boundary and surviving and seeing the response of whatever around you, it redefines your view of yourself. So self-esteem is another end result of owning the unpalatable parts of yourself. Yeah? So question yourself. This is the best thing to do, right? It goes back yet again to the considered life. Consider the questions that you're asking yourself. Consider the stories that are running in your mind and ask, are they true? Where did they come from? Is that my story, or did I inherit that story? Did I learn that from somebody else? Was that someone else just uncomfortable about their own expressions and kind of transmitting that to me, and I picked it up, learned it without even realizing it, and now find myself repeating their story? So there's lots of ways to question yourself to get there. I thought I would just change the location to the other side of that so that you can see maybe the whole structure of what is going on where that arch was, and just to give you a sort of a broader idea of the beauty of this place. This is, the arch is called Grosvenor Arch, and it's in very near to Kodachrome Basin State Park, which is about sort of 20 miles south of Bryce Canyon. So to go back to what I was saying, effectively, if you question yourself, then you can discover, revisit, and interrogate the reasons for your insecurities. And when you do that, you're back on the considered route. You're back on the voyage. If this is of interest, let me know. If I'm way off track and you think I should be saying something different, let me know. If there are questions that you want answering that I'm not addressing, let me know. I'm game for many topics. I'm not qualified to talk about everything, but if you let me know what it is you're interested in, then I will certainly do my best. And if you like the video, then have a look at the other videos, and maybe there's something out there as well which is of interest. Look, I have an audience. All right, take care, and goodbye for now.